This conference will now be recorded.
Thanks for the confirmation.
Yes,
So first of all, a warm welcome to you all to Career IT for taking out time from your busy schedule to attend a demo session on AWS Devops. I really appreciate your time. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. Right. So pardon for the mistake on the PPT, why? Because I do deliver DevOps on Azure as well. So I might have reused the PPT, but I forgot to change the name. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead and begin the class. So welcome on, as you said, right? So don't you think that it is very much important for all of you to know about your trainer or faculty? Why? Because nowadays we are in the virtual world, right? So we have been training or getting trained in real time in virtual environment using any of the online tool that we have, right? Earlier you used to do classroom trainings where you might have a lot of interaction with your faculty, you get to know a lot of things, right? So don't you think at this particular juncture, it is very much important to know about your faculty? Why? Because you guys might have joined by taking out time and you might have decided to change the technology, right? So I think you might be looking for a very good faculty who might be having good experience. Why? Because you guys are taking up a new technology, you guys have to learn and adhere to certain policies, procedure, things and stuff to excel yourself to get into a good company with good package, good positions, reputation, things and stuff, correct? So let me go ahead and take up this opportunity to introduce myself. So my name is Kranti. I do carry 14 plus years of experience in the IT industry base, right? So out of 14 years of experience, I do carry 6 plus years into cloud computing, right? It's not just into AWS cloud, but I've been certified and I've been doing jobs, projects in Azure DevOps, as well as in GCP, as well as in Alibaba cloud as well, right? Why? Because it is pretty much easy. If you learn one cloud, it makes your job so easy to learn other clouds as well, right? So I'm a technical manager working in one of the MNC in Hyderabad itself, right? So my profession is an IT employee, but my passion is towards training, right? So I've been into training since 7 plus years now, and I've been trained so far 32 plus thousand people. So I'm proud to say that, and the count is still going on, right? So I've trained on multiple technologies. I mean, starting with testing, then into development, then into uh, probably Windows, VMware, Linux. Then I moved into cloud computing technologies, the two multi-cloud, right? So these are my capabilities, I can say. So being a project manager, my day-to-day activities would be obviously taking up interviews on multiple technologies. Why? Because we might be having a lot of opportunities in the company, in other accounts in the same company, right? So I used to take interviews and I'm taking it up as well as part of my current role, right? So I did not set a barrier to just to Hyderabad. Being from Hyderabad, I don't just put a target that I have to train people from Hyderabad, but I have an opportunity being a Microsoft certified trainer. So I have got an opportunity to train people across the globe, right? So there is no language barrier. There is no regional specific barrier. So I got a chance to train people throughout the world and they made already settled down in very well reputed positions, right? So why you guys might have to opt for career IT online institute only for your trainings, right? There might be a question, whereas a lot of institute that you might be having in the market, right? Especially if you take in Hyderabad, you have a lot of institutes. And nowadays, everybody might have started online trainings as well due to this pandemic, where we cannot go back to the classroom physically. So there are a lot of people who might have started their own online trainings, right? And why you guys might have to go ahead and opt for only career IT technologies. Why? Because we have a unique pattern of training people. What is that unique pattern? I'll be letting you guys know, right? So obviously, if you opt for any course, right, you might have to go with a course content, right? People will expect a lot from course content. What are you gonna teach? What are the tools that you might have been teaching in the course content? Everybody might show a lot of interest in knowing about it, right? So I will be showing the course content anyways. But on a given day, we will be taking a topic from the course content from theory, correct? So we'll explain you theory and we will be explaining you to help you connect from a day-to-day example. Why? Because cloud computing, the terminologies in it, for everybody it might be pretty much new, right? You might be an expert in other technology, or you might be a fresher, you might be from a non-technical background. But for all of us, it is very much important to understand the terminologies, right? So I cannot just explain you from the official definition perspective as to, okay, this is cloud computing. Until unless I correlate with a day-to-day example, we won't be able to connect it. So my way of teaching is a topic I'll take, I'll talk about the theory from official perspective, then I'll talk about a day-to-day example to correlate. Once that is done, I'll bringing in a real-time scenario as to how, if you implement this service in customer environment, what is the value add that we are going to do for the customer, right? How cost saving will be happening, how this will value add for the end customer. So things and stuff will be relating. So whenever we are talking about the topic, I'll even cover the interview questions then and there itself. Why interview questions? Why? Because your ultimate goal is the same. You might have heard from your friend circle, professional network, or outside your own research, and you got to know that AWS Devops might be doing pretty much good in the market, where we have ample jobs, right? Where we have less scarcity of resources who might have already trained or genuine folks. That is the reason why you guys are here. So your goal is ultimately only one thing. You have to learn the course in the specific duration, and you have to crack an interview, and you have to get a job. So all about is to crack an interview. So that's where I have to cover interview questions every day on the respective topic itself, right? So once the interview questions is done, we'll provide a lot of interview tips and tricks. Why? Because an experienced individual who might be joining this session, if I have to talk an example, let's say 6 years experienced individual who might be working as a Windows, VMware admin, Linux admin, desktop admin, system admin, or an ETL developer, or a developer itself from the traditional way of developing the software. For everybody, it's pretty much new. So you guys are learning new technology. So you should know what kind of questions your interviewers will actually ask in an interview. So I'll be covering everything. Why? Because I have huge experience in conducting interviews. So I know I can judge the pulse of the candidate, whether he's a genuine, whether he's a fake candidate. So I'll be providing you a lot of interview tips and tricks to help you guys crack an interview. Ultimately, you guys have to get a job. That's the reason why you guys are here, right? So from Career ID, I'm here to fulfill your goal. So being a faculty in Career ID, I'm here to fulfill your goal in all the parameters. So I'll be able to help you at each and every corner to make sure that you guys are learning the course, you guys are excelling, you guys are showing improvement on daily basis, and I'm helping you to prepare to crack an interview. So that's my ultimate goal throughout the journey of our course, right? So once we done with interview tips and tricks, what we will do, we'll conduct mock interviews as well. At least 3 mock interviews we are going to conduct. Why mock interviews? Obviously, everybody joins the course, but I'm pretty much different from other faculties. Other faculties probably what they will do, they will come, they teach, and they will say goodbye for the day. But I'm not like that. I'll come. The initial 10 minutes, I'll have a quick review as to what we have discussed yesterday. Then we'll have a quick Q&A, question and answer, right? So that I'll be coming to know who are all part of the course, who is progressing, who is doing their homework and coming to the class, whether they are answering the questions absolutely perfect, or whether there is any improvement that I have to tell to them that, okay, this is how we are answering the question, but this is not how you should be answering. There should be a mechanism to, there should be basically a mechanism and articulation to answer the question, right? And I'll be telling you a lot of other interview tips and tricks as to, okay, this is how your behavior should be, this is how you have to proceed further. A lot of things I'll be taking about the mock interviews basically. So ultimately what I do it, I'll gauge your performance and I'll tell you the improvement areas as to, okay, you're doing good here, but there is a slight improvement that is needed for to crack an interview, right? So your articulation is like this. No, this is not acceptable articulation. Probably might change your way how you answer it. A lot of interview tips and tricks will be shared. Obviously, resume preparation, right? Resume preparation plays a crucial role in getting a job, in getting a profile screened, right? So I'll be helping you in resume preparation. Then since you guys have decided to get into AWS cloud, right? So I'll be providing you the career guidance as to, okay, you guys have taken a good decision, but what if your career will be looking like in the next 10 to 15 years if you move to cloud? So I'll be able to give you certain guidance as well, right? Suppose that there is something that has been added apart from the course content is corporate etiquities. So you can ask me a question as to, Kranti, why corporate etiquities in AWS DevOps training? Why? Because do you know a fresher knows anything about IT company or any technology? Do you know a non-technical individual knows something? So, but I'm here, I'll be covering a lot of corporate activities concepts on daily basis. Why? Because it's all about knowing about the customer, knowing about who are the stakeholders, knowing about cloud DevOps lead, project manager, who is a developer, who is a scrum master, how we get projects, how customer will give us the requirements. So being a AWS DevOps engineer, what could be your roles and responsibilities in a company, in a project? How you have to behave with your team members, how you have to build rapport with your project manager. So you have to do a lot of stuff to make sure that you are value adding to yourself. You're making yourself as an asset to the project. So all of these things would be taught in corporate activities so that you should not feel comfortable once you join a company. So I'll be teaching everything. So from the sustainability part, you should not have a question. So you'll be super confident that, okay, we learned the course. We know how we get projects, how things happens in the projects. So since I've already learned in the course, so I would be able to implement that once I join a company. So that is what the confidence that I can give you guys, right? So in you see in every other institute, this is actually lagging. So people will just teach you the technology, but they don't teach the surroundings which were interlinked with the technology. So what I understood is, apart from the technology anyways we have to learn, right? But surrounding areas also we have to learn so that we will be coming to know how we can sustain in a company, right? That will be taught. So apart from that, I'm very good at multi-cloud. So I'm certified in multi-cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP, as well as in Alibaba Cloud, right? So being a project manager, my day-to-day responsibilities would be handling people, attention management, client management, stakeholder management. A lot of things I have to look after it along with an individual contributor position, right? And I'm very good at onboarding brand new projects from the customer. So being a transition manager, I worked as a transition manager previously. So I've been into abroad multiple times. I used to go there, we used to crack the deals and we used to come to offshore and set up the projects. So I'm very good at setting up brand new projects. At the same time, very good at offboarding the projects which are in the verge of completion, right? So this is all about myself, guys. So why this story is you have to get confident and trust that your trainer knows something. Your trainer is capable of something. He is doing or he has done something. He is doing something. So probably you'll get to know something, right? So then you can decide as to whether you can go and opt for career IT training or not. Okay, so I believe with all of these, I'm super confident and I have all the eligibility to go ahead and teach you guys AWS DevOps case. Any questions at this point of time before we actually move on to the demo session? No, Python is not needed. Python is altogether a separate course. That's a lengthy course.
Hello.
No, this is not Azure. This is AWS, right? We don't even get into. I mean, scripting, I'm very good at PowerShell, but we are not going to discuss about PowerShell. We'll talk about Azure CLI, AWS CLI, sorry. I'll go through the course content, so you'll be able to see what are the tools that we are going to talk about. Yeah. Any other questions from the folks who are in online before we move further?
Hi, sir.
Hey.
So, which is a better platform, cloud platform, sir? Is it AWS or Azure?
So for me, all are equal, guys. So if I ask you, may I know what is the phone make that you are using?
Samsung.
Is it Samsung?
Yeah, it's
okay,
Samsung.
But I'm using let's say MI phone. So you can ask me as to why MI, why not Samsung, right? It's your choice. A lot of companies in the market, based on your affordability, based on the futures, you can go ahead and offer anything. Nobody will stop you. So in the same way, AWS has pioneered in cloud. Why? Because it has the first company which has started its cloud journey in the market. Then Microsoft Azure has opted. But if you ask me, everything is doing good. Why? Because I deliver trainings on Azure DevOps as well, and I do on GCP as well, and I learned Alibaba Cloud. I know HP Cloud, Oracle Cloud, IBM Cloud as well. I know about it, right? So everything has its own advantages only. Nothing has its disadvantages, right? So AWS has been pioneered, so people have already opted it, and you have a lot of jobs generating with AWS. At the same time, Azure as well. There is no difference as such. But people who are more flexible with Microsoft technologies, they might move to Microsoft Azure. Why? Because Microsoft is meant for developer tools, developer friendly tools, correct? But I don't want to degrade anything. Everything has its own equal value and good market share, right? You have a lot of jobs in AWS and Azure as well. It's up to you.
And also one thing is, do we need to learn some programming language along with this in order
No,
to?
not required. Not required. So if you ask me, there is no prerequisite as such to learn this course. Why? Because I am here to teach you guys from the scratch.
Thank you very
So
much, sir.
even fresher is able to attend this training, which means fresher doesn't know anything about programming language. Probably they might have done in academics, but that too very basic. Correct? So even a fresher can attend this particular course and they can get jobs. So you can just think of there is no prerequisite that is actually needed. But
Okay.
trust me, I'll be starting from the scratch. So the biggest capability that I have is I can even teach a layman who doesn't know anything about IT. So that's the day-to-day examples that I'll bring in to make sure that I'll be making you comfortable with it. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Hello, sir. Hi, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, actually, I have one doubt, sir. I
Sure,
am
go ahead.
basically from arts background.
Mhm.
So I joined to this course because I am not a
Yes, you
technical.
can go ahead and yes, you should not be a technical person. Why? Because we're not learning programming language here. We are learning DevOps. So we are going to implement a methodology. For that, we need to use certain tools, obviously certain script, but it is not required that you should be knowing about it already. I'm here to teach you from the scratch.
I'm just asking about like a background, whether they will see like BTech or MCA or something.
No background until unless you prove your technical ability.
Oh. Okay, sir. And any coding will be there, sir, in this course?
I mean, we will be going with some scripts. Okay, we'll be going with some YAML configuration files as well. So you should not have to worry. I'll be teaching from scratch. So there is Linux, which is a prerequisite. So I'll be teaching Linux from the scratch also. Okay, so there should not be any worry about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, sir. This is Karthik.
Hey, Karthik.
Do we need any knowledge of programming to start career in AWS DevOps?
No, not required, Karthik.
Not required.
Not required.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
This is
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Hello, sir.
What part
Yeah,
of the
I
course
want to
are you
know
covering?
some.
One at a time, guys. Those folks who are not speaking it up, I request you to go on mute, please. So I'll give a chance for everybody. So I know that you guys might be having a lot of questions. Otherwise, what we can do is let's have the demo session. We can spend 15 minutes for a Q&A. Is it okay? Okay, let's go with it then. So let's jump on to the demo session, guys. Okay. So we cannot learn DevOps directly, guys. We cannot learn DevOps directly. Before that, we need to know the history. Okay. So if one of your, let's say, if our kids are asking about a smartphone, probably we might tell them a story as to, okay, in olden days, we used to have a landline phone. Then we have come to a basic smartphone with a keyboard. Then smartphone era in the early 20s, right? Again, the smartphone with keypad. Then we have gone to the basic smartphones in early 20s, right? 2010s, if I have to say. Then now we are in the era of 2022, and we know what kind of smartphones that we have. We have the smartphones with artificial intelligence built in. And we don't know what is the future for the mobiles in the next 5 years. What are the features that the mobile phone developers are going to come up with, right? In the same way, we need to understand. So this course is all about how we develop and deliver a software with highest quality and security. Okay, so DevOps is nothing but you have different teams in a project. Like developers would be there, testers would be there, IT operations team would be there, and multiple teams would be there in a project. So how everybody collaboratively and collectively work towards a common goal. What is the common goal? To deliver the software to the customer with highest quality and security, right? Let's say if I'm preparing some snacks, let's say snack in the sense, I mean, let's say I might be trying to make an omelette for the very first time. So what I'll do, probably I'll go with YouTube, or if my wife or somebody might suggest, then I'll go ahead and get started. Probably the first time the product might not be good, right? It might burn, it might be having excess of salt or chili, whatever it is, or I might have put excess oil. So it all depends. But through experience, you will be able to deliver a successful thing, correct? Output. So we know about Google Chrome browser, correct? So let's say if I need Google Chrome, what I have to do? Let's say I have a brand new laptop which I have purchased today, and I have operating system inbuilt. Let's say Windows 10 operating system. What are the browsers that will be coming along with Windows 10? Probably Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge browser, correct? But we are familiar with Google Chrome. Why? Because we are very friendly using Google Chrome browsers. So how do we install Google Chrome? You open Edge browser and Internet Explorer and you type in install Google Chrome browser and you will get a URL. You click on that URL, then it will ask you to download an executable file, correct? .exe file. You have to download. And once it downloads, you have to execute it by double clicking on it. So after some time, the browser will be installed in your machine, right? But did you ever think as to how the employees in Google, how the developers in Google have developed the .exe file? Did you ever thought of it? No, right? We did not thought as to how come the .exe file has come in, who has actually created it. We did not even thought about it. But it's all about software development is all about bringing up a package. The .exe file is a package where it is available publicly to everybody, right? It's not only to me, it is applicable or available, it is available to everybody in the public. So I install the .exe file, then I'll be able to open the Google Chrome browser. But there is a lot of effort, hard work from the Google developers. They might have used a programming language like .NET, Java, C#, ASP.NET, Python, Node.js. What are the programming language that they might have used? And they have compared all the code and they have bought a output called .exe. So that is publicly available. You can go freehand and you can use internet, download, install, and use it, right? And you take a laptop. Let's say I'm using an HP laptop. Do you think every part in my laptop has been developed and manufactured by HP? No, right? HP might have developed only motherboard, but it is taking the processor, Intel processor from Intel company, probably RAM from a different company, hard disk from a different company, screen from a different company, camera from a different company, battery will be providing by different company. But what HP is doing, it is assembling and it is releasing into the market. People like us going and purchasing it, correct? Then let's take a car, let's take Tata car. Do you think Tata is the whole and sole responsibility of manufacturing the car? Rights are being provided by other company like MRF, Bridgestone, Seat, JK Tyres, lot of other types. I mean, your windshield is providing by somebody, right? Seat covers are providing by somebody. Glasses are being provided by somebody. Inside that mats provided by somebody. Some spare parts, some other company has been providing. Only the engine is being developed by Tata. So everything is gathered, assembled, and it is delivering into the market, right? So do you think is it so easy to assemble every part and release as a product to the customer? No, there is a lot of hard work, correct? Now let's talk from a day-to-day example before we actually move into the real time, right? So can anybody wanted to have a talk with me, guys? From online, anybody wanted to have a talk with me? So we will just talk about a day-to-day scenario before we move further. So this is just to help you understand what exactly software development is. Anybody wanted to have a talk?
Yeah, I can do that, sir.
What's your name?
Karthik.
Karthik, thanks, man. So Karthik, did you ever prepared a plain rice at your home? plain white rice.
Yeah, I
So may I
did.
know what is the process it involves?
Um, I washed the rice,
Mhm.
and I'll add double of water to rice.
Mhm.
If it's a 1 cup,
Mhm.
I'll add 2 cups, and I'll just turn on the switch of the electric rice cooker.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it's
So let
done,
me
it
tell you
will.
the process.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the process. I think we have two ways to prepare rice. One is the traditional way, where let's say I have to prepare rice for two people. I'll take 2 cups of water, right, and I'll clean it properly a couple of times. Then I'll add double the quantity of water, right? Or I have to add 4.5 cups of water. Why? Because I'm preparing outside on a gas stove. So I'll soak the rice after adding 4.5 cups of water for 10 to 15 minutes. Correct? Why? Because if I soak, probably the rice would be properly cooked. Then I'll turn on the flame and I'll put the vessel. Probably initial 4 to 5 minutes, I'll put it on high flame, right? Then it comes to boil. What happens if I keep it on high flame continuously? It will it will overboil and the water will come out of it. Correct? So I should know for 4 to 5 minutes I have to put it on high flame, then I have to put it on medium flame, then I have to put it on simmer, and I'll have to keep on checking the rice to see whether the water has been completely gone away or not at the bottom. Then only I can conclude that the rice has been properly cooked. Okay. So this is one process. The other process is the same. 2 cups, you wash it. Now you add only 4 cups of water and you soak for 10 minutes. You put it in the rice cooker. You switch on. After 15 to 20 minutes, rice would be properly cooked without any monitoring. Why? Because rice cooker is an automated way. Right? So what happens if which one we go with? We generally go with rice cooker. But earlier days we have to go with a manual method. But now what we understood, there are two ways to prepare plain rice. Correct? What is the output? The output is the same. It is a properly cooked rice. We can eat it for lunch or dinner, whatever we wanted to. We can do it. Correct? In the same way, every software that you take a Flipkart platform, you take a Google Chrome executable file, right? You take what Amazon.in, Amazon.com, you take Mintra.com. All of these are what? These are e-commerce websites. But for us, those are products. You take AAC is a product. You take projector is a product, laptop is a product, pen is a product, mouse is a product, a chair is a product. So we need raw material to manufacture it, correct? So the output is a product where we can sell it to the end customers, correct? In the same way, as if we have just gone with the rice preparation process, for software development as well, the same kind of processes would be there. There is a step-by-step process that we have to follow in order to prepare a software, in order to develop a software and deliver it to the customer. So let's talk about something called SDLC lifecycle, software development lifecycle. So as if we have just gone with two-way preparation for a rice, we have the same kind of process with step by step to prepare a software, to develop a software. Let's understand what exactly your SDLC is. So software development lifecycle, SDLC, we call it as. It's a process which is being used by the software development companies, right? Why they will use it? To design, to develop, and to test it and to deliver it to the customer with highest quality and soft security. So that we call it as a SDLC lifecycle. So this is basically the definition. So how we will have to deliver? Customer would be giving us some timelines, right? Let's say I'm going to construct a new house. I have given it to the builder to build it. I'll definitely set some timeline, correct? As to, okay, you take 6 months and build a G+1 building to be, correct? If even you can give 4 months, but what happens? Builder will be taking his own time and he will be building the G+1 building, right? The timelines are very much important wherever you go. Wherever you go, the timelines are important. Let's say if you guys are a working professional, you might get a requirement from the customer to do certain work, right? Obviously, that has a timeline. So we have to finish that work in the timeline. In software development process as well, once we get the project from the customer, there would be a dedicated timeline that would be defined. So it may be 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. We from the company to make sure that we are delivering the project in the timeline. We should not have to exceed or go beyond the timeline. If you go beyond, there would be a lot of consequences. Okay, what are those consequences? We'll be looking into it, right? So in order to go with SDLC lifecycle, we have different models. We have waterfall model, we have spiral model, we have V model, we have agile model. Lot of models that are available in the market. As to rice preparation, we have 2 ways. It's up to you which one you wanted to go with. Correct. In the same way, for developing the software, you have different methods where you can go ahead and take it up. Any method you can take it and implement it. Okay. So let's talk about waterfall model first. Then we'll go to agile model. The name itself says waterfall, right? So what happens? Let's say I have water in the bottle, right? So if I open the cap of a bottle and if I pour it down, will I be able to bring the water back? No, water is gone. Correct. Let's say a river will flow towards a direction. Correct. Once the water flows towards a direction, will I be able to bring the water back? I'm not a magician. I'm not a god. Correct. So I cannot bring the water back. Even waterfall model is the same thing. Once you start implementing it, you cannot come back and revert the changes. You cannot come back and do the changes. So waterfall model has been used in software industries 2 decades back. Just 20 years back, waterfall model has been implemented, right? So let's talk about waterfall model first. So let me take out the slides and let's get into a real-time example. So let me share my screen. So I have a picture. Let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, able to.
Okay, I believe the screen is visible. Yes.
Yes.
Just give me a minute. Yeah. So what we are going to do is we will talk about a real-time situation today. Okay. As I told you, we are going with waterfall model. Okay. So let's assume we have a customer called Flipkart.com. Let's assume we have a customer called Flipkart.com. Okay. May I know in which year Flipkart has been established in India? Any guess? 2011? Okay, 2008, 2009. I mean, we got familiar with Flipkart.com e-commerce website from 2010. Okay, but the project has been started in 2008. Obviously, how a company will get established? One of the individual would be having an idea, and the idea would be turned into reality. For that, an investor has to invest it. Correct? Then the idea will be coming into reality. That's how the products will be getting generated. How Amazon has been coming to obviously your Jeff Bezos has an idea and he has turned into reality, correct? So that's how we would be able to convert an idea into reality. So that reality is your Flipkart.com. That reality is your Flipkart.com, right? So let's talk about Flipkart. Let's assume we are in way back 2008. Okay, so there is an individual who is a founder or CEO of Flipkart as having an idea. So, but they don't have developers. They don't have developers. So, Flipkart has been given a business to a software development company called TCS. To see TCS, we were familiar. So, I'm just taking an example, guys, so that everybody would be able to understand it. Okay, guys. Small request: if you're not speaking, I request you to go on mute, please. I request you to please go on mute. Thank you. So let's assume Flipkart has been given the business to TCS. TCS being a software development company. So now TCS has bagged the Flipkart.com project, right? So we have to now implement software development lifecycle. So Flipkart requirement is I need an e-commerce website. Whenever I open Flipkart.com, I should be able to see the banner. Let me open the Flipkart.com so that we'll be able to go with it. So whenever we open the Flipkart.com, so we should be able to see a banner here, then the modules, then the daily ongoing offers, then your deals of the day, things and stuff. This is how the website should be designed for the customer, right? So what we are going to do now, TCS has to plan the things since they have got the project. The TCS has to get in touch with Flipkart and they have to gather certain requirements. Okay, well and good, TCS got the project. So how many billable headcounts that TCS is, Flipkart is going to grant TCS? So let's assume we have 23 people here. We have 23 people where your TCS might have approved. Okay, then we'll add certain buffer amount. Why? Because on a given day, 23 employees might not log in the company, might not go to office due to sick leaves or medical leaves, whatever it is. So it's TCS job to add certain additional amount of buffer. Buffer is additional resources case, right? Then they will have to talk about the billing. So how much Flipkart is going to give for each and every employee in dollars it would be, right? Then they will talk about licenses that are required, infrastructure that is required to develop Flipkart.com will be discussed. Then transport, food, logistics or infra payment gateway related things will be discussed with Flipkart. Why? Because to develop a project, everything is needed. So why transport? Employees has to come to office from their home. Again, after logout, they have to go back to their home. Again, food will be served in the company. Again, Flipkart has to take the responsibility. A lot of things that the customer has to take responsibility. So now let's understand we plan the things. So what is the first stage in SDLC lifecycle? Planning. The next thing is gathering the requirements. What are gathering requirements? So Flipkart now will give the requirements as to, okay, this is my website should look like, this is how the requirement should come and visible in the graphical user interface, right? This is how Flipkart will expect from TCS. So requirement would be gathered as to how many modules we have to be shown up in the Flipkart graphical user interface and how the daily routine offer should be shown up here, right? And there are certain other things, deals of the day, explore more. And if you come down, you'll be able to see Flipkart related information about the company, career site, support, payment gateways, the address of Flipkart, your everything would be able to see it up. So they have told that these are the requirements that we have needed. So who has told to whom? Flipkart has told to TCS. Now the requirement gathering would be freezed. There would be no entertainment from the customer. So since TCS has grabbed the requirements, now it's time to design the website as to which one has to come at which position. So the logo has to come up here, right? Not on the corner, right? And then we should have a search box, and we should have the login button. Everything has to be shown up. So in the design phase, the design team would be designing the website. Once the design is done, your developers will be pitching and they will be coding, start coding. Probably they might take .NET, C#, ASP.NET, Java, Node.js, Python, take it and developing the requirements. Once the development job is done, your testers will be pitching in. Your testing team will be pitching in and they will be testing the product. They will identify if they have any bugs as well. Tester team is what? They have to identify the bugs which were developed by the developer, right? That is what their job is. Then once the successful testing is done, the release and deployment team would be deploying into the production. The release and deployment team would be releasing the product into the production environment. So in order to deploy, what we need some backend server. Correct? So where do you deploy the product? We need a server, or it's a Windows Server operating system, or it's a Linux operating system. We need server hardware. So who will take care of server hardware? It's the IT operations team who would be taking care of it, right? So here also there are multiple teams who would be working together, but there would be a dependency here, a lot of dependency that I have to say, right? So once the product is deployed, your maintenance and monitoring team will be coming into picture, and they will be monitoring the website to see whether the website is working absolutely perfect or not, whether the website is down, whether the website is not having proper server hardware configuration, RAM, virtual CPUs, things and stuff. Even the maintenance and monitoring team will monitor for any customer feedback. Why? Because customer will always come and say improvements to Flipkart. Correct? Why? Because customers like us will compare the website with others, and we can always go back to Flipkart and say that probably if we can implement some other option here, it would have been good. Always give feedback to the respective customer, so customer will in turn submit to the TCS software. So these are all the stages that we have in the software development lifecycle. Okay, so let's look at the role of a testing engineer now. So I'll be playing a video to help you guys understand what exactly we can go ahead and do it. So I'll be playing a video. Just observe carefully and let me know what exactly is happening. I know what exactly happened on this video, folks. Anybody else from online? Can anybody summarize as to what
There is an error there.
Yeah, which means what? What is happening?
Some bug is interrupting the files page, right?
Yes, absolutely. So who was the culprit here? Tester has done absolutely perfect job. Who is the culprit? It is a developer who might not have developed the code absolutely perfect. So what I'm doing, I open Flipkart.com and there is a sale that is going on. I clicked on that and I wanted to purchase a table from Nikki. So whenever I click on the tables, it should show up the tables page, right? But it's throwing me an error, which is there is a loophole that was happening there, which is a bug, which development team has to go ahead and fix it. So this is one of the role of a tester, testing engineer, if I would say, right? So if I open Flipkart.com now, let's do the same thing. Let's say I'm going to, you can see low prices ever. What is this low prices on shoes? Let's click on this. So you see the shoes page is opening up absolutely perfect. You see, but on the tables, whenever I click it, I'm not looking at the tables. I'm not looking at all the tables over there. So there is a bug, which the tester has to report it to the development team again, and the development team has to rework on the code. Then they have to deploy into the deployment environment. The testers have to test it and they will certify that everything is working absolutely perfectly with Flipkart.com, right? Then it will move on to the next stage of release and deployment. Then the product will be deployed into the production. So for customers like us, Flipkart.com would be available in the public internet, where we can go ahead and access Flipkart.com. We can sign up or create an account. You can browse to the products. You can add. You can proceed to the payment gateway. You can use debit card, credit card, internet gateway, UPI, wallets. You pay it, and the order would be processed. You get order in the defined delivery date. So this is how product development happens, right? So let's discuss about the disadvantages here. Okay, so what is the time that Flipkart has given to TCS? 60 days time they have to complete developing the Flipkart product. Right? So this 60 days will be allocated now. So how many stages? We have 7 stages in Sdlc, software development lifecycle. So planning team is taking 5 days. Requirement gathering is taking 5 days. Design team is taking 10 days. and development team is taking 30 days. Why? Because development will take a lot of time, guys. Why? Because they have to write the programming code, correct? That's where it takes a lot of time. Then your testing team takes 5 days to test the product, and deployment team will taking 5 days. So I'm not talking about maintenance. Why? Because this will be coming post production. So this is how the days of the project would be allocated. Now we are understanding the timeline here, the milestone. Customers told that 60 days I'm giving to TCS, you develop the product and you give it to me, right? Then how many team members that we have? 23 team members. So planning team has 3 members. Probably the planning team cannot do requirement gatherings. They will be specialized only in gathering the details from customer, right? Then in requirement analysis, you have 3 members. Then design, you have 5. Development, you have 6 members. Testers, you have 3. Deployment, you have 2 members. Maintenance, monitoring, you have 1. So this is how this team would be split in the software development lifecycle. Now let's talk about the disadvantages of waterfall model. Let's talk about the disadvantages of waterfall model. What happens in waterfall model? So the initial 5 days would be taken by planning team days.
Hello.
So when planning team is working with the customer.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Hi, sorry to interrupt you. This is Lakshmi, from Career ID. Yeah, important info from our end. The regular sessions will be starting from Monday IST, which falls on 1st August. And the timings would be from 10:30 to 12 noon. 10:30 morning, okay, to 12 noon, the timings are. So if you need any other details, you please reach us on the numbers what I have provided in chart. So just thought of updating you.
Lakshmi,
Thank
your
you.
voice is breaking it up. Probably I'll be talking on and off.
Oh, fine. I'll keep message everyone. You please do check in chart, okay? If any break is there in my voice, so I'll keep it message. I'll keep it chart.
Lakshmi, your voice is breaking it up. I'll convey the message. Thank you. Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's move on, guys. So in Sdlc, what is happening? In Sdlc, you have 3 people who will be working for 5 days, right, continuously. So once the planning is done, then only the requirement gathering teams will be pitching in. Until then, requirement gathering, design, development, testing, deployment, maintenance team don't have any work. They have to sit idle. So in the same way, once the planning is done, your requirement gathering is pitching in, and they will be starting gathering the requirements with the help of customer. Till then, your design team, your development team, testing team, deployment, maintenance should sit idle. They don't have any work. So in Sdlc, in traditional way of developing the software development life cycle using waterfall model, there is a dependency between each and every team. So until unless one team finishes up its work, the next team won't start up with the process. This is one biggest disadvantage, right? So in order to rule out this, we have Devops. So let's talk about Devops once I finish up one more disadvantage. So other disadvantage is, once the requirement gathering team has taken the requirement from Flipkart here, the requirement gathering from TCS is freezing the requirements. Freezing the requirements. So let me tell you an example. So the requirement from the customer is to $flipkart.com with all of these modules, guys. Okay. So based on these modules, the TCS has gone ahead and developed it, and even testing is done. It's about to deploy into production environment, right? We are one step ahead to deploy into production. Now customer is coming, Flipkart is coming in between and stating to TCS, stating that, hey guys, you guys have developed top offers module. Do you see in drop down in top offers module, guys? No, no drop down. But you see the drop down in fashion. You see drop down in electronics. You see in home, right? So now customer is saying, guys, stop the deployment. I need a drop down to be shown up in the top offers module. Whenever I click on the drop down, it should say for men's clothing 20% discount, for women's clothing 30% discount, for women's footwear 10% discount, for kids 50% discount. This is how the features have to be coming. So whenever I over on fashion, you see things are coming up, right? In the same fashion, when customer is clicking on or hovering on top of us, the drop down should come up. So this is the new requirement that customer is now giving to TCS before we deliver it to the production. Do you think is it possible now? Karthik, we spoke about rice preparation, correct?
Yep.
Right. So let's add on some other requirement to the same requirement. Let's assume. I mean, I don't want to get into certain things. Let's assume you are married individual. Okay. Let's say it's your parents who are visiting your home from your hometown today. It's your parents who are visiting to you from their hometown. Obviously, you might be a lot of plans for food, correct?
Yeah.
So what you did, you went outside to a grocery store, you bought basmati rice, you bought all the spices, you even bought probably chicken or lamb or mutton, whatever it is, along with certain vegetables, and you have given it to your wife. Thought that your wife would be preparing a chicken biryani for your parents. But what happened, you know? She is preparing a normal pulao to them. On the side, she is preparing chicken curry. Now we have gone back to the kitchen, and you are seeing how she preparing pulao separately and chicken curry separately. Where your expectation was chicken biryani for your parents. Now you are not satisfied. You are not satisfied. Now you are conveying the message to your wife stating that I thought you will be preparing chicken biryani, but I see that you are preparing pulao separately and chicken curry separately. The chicken curry, she just added oil, she added spices, she has added tomato or onion, and she's about to add the chicken. So the chicken was not ready. So Karthik, at this juncture, will you be able to convince your wife to convert that pulao chicken curry into chicken biryani now? Is it so easy at this juncture?
No, not so easy.
Not so easy. If at all it is possible, it will take time, correct?
Yeah.
It will take time, and some raw material or ingredients might have to be changed. You might have to throw out something. Why? Because for chicken biryani, there is a different process altogether. Correct? Now you understand, if customer is coming at the deployment phase, at the final stage, will TCS allow the customer for any changes? No.
No.
We are not supposed to allow the customer for any changes. We cannot. So this is one of the biggest disadvantage in waterfall model. But nowadays, if you talk about the current trend 2022, if the same Flipkart is going back to TCS and asking for a change in the requirement, if TCS is not going to accept, what is happening, you know? Flipkart is taking out the project from TCS and giving to other company. Why? Because nowadays we have to satisfy customer requirements, correct? That's where in the waterfall model, this thing is not possible. You cannot entertain the customer to come in between and give any new changes or changes to the existing requirements. We are not supposed to allow. Now what happens, Karthik? Let's say you accepted the requirement from the customer. You accepted the requirement from the customer at this junction. Do you think 60 days is enough to deliver the project? It will become 70 days. And do you think who will pay for the employees billing, food, transport, infrastructure licenses? And I'm talking about license. To develop a software, we need laptops, we need desktops, we need Windows servers, we need Windows operating systems, we need SQL databases. Who will pay for all of these licenses? Customer has to go on. Do you think customer is ready to accept those additional charges? No. But they need additional requirements to be fulfilled. Right? So in order to avoid this approach, in order to encourage the customer to come at any point of time and to give the requirements for the existing changes or any new feature request, we can accept in Devops. We can accept in Devops. So let's assume what exactly happened in Devops. Let's talk about a scenario and we will be moving on. So let me take a snippet of this Flipkart. Okay, let me copy this and let me open a new page. Okay, now what happens, you know, So let's talk about DevOps now. I'll tell you what is DevOps things and stuff, but I just wanted to go with comparative. So in DevOps, what happens? Let's assume we have 3 developers in the project. The first developer will work on top of first module. So here D1 will work on. The second developer would be working on the development 2 activity. So third developer would work on mobile modules. Let's assume we have 3 developers, right? Then the development 1 activity is completed. So who will pitch in here? The tester 1 will pitch in. Meanwhile, the developer who worked on top of us will be going and taking a fashion module. Meanwhile, developer 2 has done completing his coding. Tester 2 will be pitching in. Developer 2 will pick up this. Now let's assume the tester 1 job is done. Who will pitch in? Release and deployment team. Release and deployment team will be pitching and they will be releasing this into production. Meanwhile, this tester 1 will be going here. Meanwhile, the developer 3 is done with mobile modules. He will go ahead and pick home module. E3. Then your release and deployment team has deployed this into production. Then your grocery module will be taken up by release and deployment team. So here, everybody, every team is working parallelly, guys, so that we are saving a lot of time. DevOps is nothing but it's collaboration and coordination between multiple teams, especially the development team and IT operations team. So by collaborating it, what is happening? The time that is taking to deliver the project is coming down. So what is our timeline? Our timeline is 60 days. So if you go with DevOps approach, you might deliver the project in 40 days only. So that is the biggest advantage that we have. And whenever we are lowering down the timeline from 60 days to 40 days, we are not even compromising on quality and security, guys. The quality and security is intact in DevOps as well. So without compromising on quality and security, we are releasing it to the market. So let's say we always hear about certain things, right? So if you try to buy a smartphone which is costing you 6,000 or 7,000, which is having 2 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage, you have companies like some telco or Lava, Micromax, right? So if you go ahead and buy those, will you be able to use for high performance? Will you be able to store a lot of data? Will it be capable enough to handle at least 15 Android apps? No, right? What happens if you keep on using? Probably your battery will drain out or your mobile might freeze. Anything can happen, right? So everything has its own limitation, correct? And if you see certain products, they are not up to the mark in terms of quality, right? So you take a mouse, probably I'm using Logitech mouse, which is a branded one. You get a mouse in 100 rupees as well in the market, but do you see the quality? No. The output might be the same, but the quality, how many days that it can last, probably it will be defined on how much is the money that you are investing, correct? In the same way, in software development, it's all about quality and security. So your development team, your IT operations team will coordinate and collaboratively work towards for a common goal to deliver the software with highest quality and security, right? So this is all about DevOps. Let's get into PPTs to wind up the demo, and let's take up any question and answers that we might be having. So far what we have learned? We have learned waterfall model, we have learned about software development life cycle. So these are the models that we have discussed, isn't it? Requirement gatherings, design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. Correct? So disadvantages, I've already told you what are the disadvantages. I don't want to get into the same. So agile model, we have already spoken in terms of the Flipkart, right? So what is agile? Agile is a flexible and robust model that we have currently in the market. And we, from a person perspective, or from a company perspective, or from a project perspective, we should be agile. So we should have the agility in ourselves so that we can accept any change from the customer at any point of time, fulfill their goal. It's obviously, if you are getting a project from the customer, why they are giving us to us? Probably they might have looked our previous work, or they might be giving us a chance to prove ourselves. So when you get an opportunity, you have to prove ourselves. and you have to deliver the software with the highest standards without compromising on quality, security, compliance, regulations. So we should be always in a position to take new requirements as well, so that the customer would be satisfied. So ultimately, whenever we get a project, it's all about delivering up to the customer satisfaction. So if customer is not satisfied, we don't get any additional projects. We don't get any additional projects. So it's always we have to strive to add business value to the customers. That's where we can implement agile model, right? So it is an increment model. So we can take small, big requirement and we can split into small work items, and those small work items would be assigned to developers. So developers would be taking up the requirements on daily basis, and they will be working towards a common goal to deliver the project into the production, right? So this is all about agile software development, I guess. So it emphasis on iterative. So you will be going with incremental value on daily basis. You will be taking up requirements and you will be performing the activities, right? So this is the evolutionary development methodology that we have in the market, and every company is going and following this. The waterfall model is never used now. Nobody is using waterfall model. Why? Because it has a lot of disadvantages. So agile model, Flipkart is a very good example. Even your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any social networking site that you take is following the DevOps approach. So if I open WhatsApp today, I'll keep on getting updates, right, from Android or iOS. Why I get updates? Why? Because WhatsApp will take feedback from customer and they'll implement those new features. And that's where we have to go ahead and update. Even you go to Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, do you see the same options on daily basis? Every day the UI will be changed, correct? Why? Because they wanted to be new when compared to their competitors. They'll always encourage customers to provide the feedback, and the companies are ready to implement those feedbacks. It's all for betterment and improvement. So always we have to go. If you see this Flipkart website in 2009-10, it's not the same now. Lot of improvements from the graphical user interface, from look and feel have been changed. But you see Amazon.in, I mean, I like the offers, things and stuff, but the UI is a bit different. It's all plain UI, right? So, I mean, when you compare with Flipkart and Amazon.in, the look and feel probably I don't like it personally. But Flipkart is colorful. You know, it will, the search engine is very good in Flipkart. If you search for a product, you'll get the relevant products. But in Amazon, probably if you search, probably you will get all irrelevant and relevant products as well. It's a combination. So some improvement has to be done still. I don't know whether Amazon has taken up that feedback or not, but they have to improve for sure, right? So agile model we have already talked. Even delays we have already spoken about. So if I have to talk about a delay in the traditional way of software development, the planning team has to depend on customer. Requirement analysis has to depend on planning team. Development team has to depend on design, requirement gathering, planning. So there is a dependency between each and every team, correct? So who will set up the infrastructure? Who will give laptops, softwares to the developer to develop? Is the developer work to set up their own infrastructure before they develop? Who will help a developer in the company to set up with the infrastructure? Can anybody let me know? IT team, right? So the internal IT team of TCS will help the developer to set up infrastructure. They will give a laptop. They will install operating system. They will install Windows servers, Linux servers, or they will install SQL databases. They will install MS Office and certain compiler tools. Correct? Developers' responsibility is just to develop. They should not have to take care of infrastructure, right? That's where there is a huge delay. So if development team need infrastructure, what they will do? The project manager of the development team will raise a request with the IT operations of TCS. TCS probably they don't know whether the team is present today or not. They will take a lot of time. First of all, they need to have the server hardware present, physical server hardware to give the infrastructure to development. So a lot of delays that used to happen in traditional way. That's where we have DevOps concept that have been coming to picture, right? So you can learn DevOps alone on premises. You can learn DevOps on any cloud platform as well. So every cloud service provider has implemented DevOps, so you can use in combination. That's where we are calling this course as DevOps with AWS. You can call DevOps with Azure. You can call DevOps with GCP. Why? Because we are following the development activity, but where we are deploying the infrastructure in the cloud, in Microsoft Azure data centers, in AWS data centers, in GCP data centers, right? So we are not taking the server hardware upfront. We are not purchasing any servers here. We are taking them on rent. We are taking the servers on rent. So obviously you have to pay very less. So if you are paying the servers on rent, who will take the responsibility? It's your cloud service provider will take care of the responsibility of maintaining the servers. It's not our job. That's where everybody is in crazy in moving to cloud now. Why? Because you have a lot of opportunities. Every company are moving from on-premises to. Why? Because maintaining and managing hardware server is really a headache nowadays. Bring up your services until unless your IT team is spending a lot of time in recovering the servers. If one of the server is corrupted, where your Flipkart.com was hosted, do you think the Flipkart.com would be able to access by the customer? No. But if you move to cloud, respective cloud service providers will be taking care of the availability. So Flipkart was in cloud, Amazon was in cloud, every Myntra was in cloud. Every website that you take is using cloud infrastructure. Why? Because they don't want it to take the headache. Right? So that's where there is huge delays that used to happen. But with DevOps, we would be able to avoid all of the disadvantages, whatever that we might have seen in previous models. Now let's understand what is the role of an operations team in DevOps. The operations team will take care of what installation of servers, hardware, network, storage, operating systems. They'll also configure the servers, storage, networks, right, for the development team. They will monitor the servers. They will take care of any outages of the servers. They will even take care of security, right? So security plays a prominent role. Case you cannot compromise on security. Why? Because if you are compromising on security, you are giving advantage to hackers to hack your machines, to hack your production environment. So if you are giving flexibility to the hackers to hack, what happens? They will steal the money. They can do anything. They can basically, you have to compromise on your product itself, right? That's where if you move to DevOps, there is no compromise at all on security or compliance or regulation activities, processes, everything. We have a lot of best practices which we are gonna implement in DevOps, right? So we will even take care of change control. Whatever the changes that we might have to do based on the requirement, based on the timeline, the IT operations team will be going and changing the things. Even the IT operations will take care of the backup and disaster recovery. So as I just said, you have deployed Flipkart server in one of the on-premises server or the database. If that server got corrupted, you won't be able to access Flipkart. It's not you. Everybody from the world. Flipkart is accessible from anywhere, right? And even people who are in abroad, they will order the products in Flipkart to their relatives or family who were in India, correct? So if your server is down, it's a huge impact for Flipkart. It will hit on Flipkart's reputation. So customers like us will migrate to Amazon or Myntra. Why? Because I don't have patience, right? If Flipkart is down, I'll move to Amazon or I'll move to Myntra or any other e-commerce website, Reliance Digital, Chroma, a lot of other websites that we have. Correct? Bajaj Electronics, you have Vijay Sales, you have Pi Electronic, lot of electronic stores that we have. So we don't have patience from customer perspective. So if Flipkart is down, for Flipkart, it's a loss of revenue in some crores of rupees. Flipkart is down for 10 minutes, probably there are lakhs crores of rupees of loss. Why? Because it's not only me who is making a transaction at the same time. Along with me, there are customers throughout the world who might make the transaction at the same time. So huge loss for Flipkart. So if they don't have backup or the disaster recovery side, so they cannot come up and running. That's where the IT team will take care of backup and disaster recovery. Then they will be helping in production activities as well. Once the product is deployed, your IT operations team would be taking care of production related activities, right? So these are all the responsibilities of your operations team. Now let's talk about DevOps, right? So in a nutshell, we might have now learned what is the traditional way of developing software and what are the disadvantages and how we can avoid those disadvantages if you move to DevOps approach. So let's talk about DevOps, right? It's all about promoting collaboration between development and operations team. So whatever the things that we need for the development team to be done, your IT operations team is there in the same project to help them out ASAP, as soon as possible. There is no delay that should happen. So they need server hardware, they need any configuration files, they need any script, they need the infrastructure. Your IT operations team is there to set it up very quickly. On demand services would be provided by IT operations team. So your developer team, your tester team, Scrum Master, Cloud, DevOps lead, project manager from DevOps, project manager from development team, your customer, your ITIL or your AWS infra team. You have then your the change control team. You have maintenance monitoring team. Every team would be working collaboratively in the same project to make sure that they are working towards a common goal, to gather the requirements, to develop the requirements, to design, right? Then to develop, test, and deliver the product into the customer environment with highest quality and security, right? So DevOps is all about bringing process, people, technology together to automate the things. So DevOps is nothing but preparing rice in a rice cooker. So without any human intervention, the rice would be prepared. So in software development lifecycle also, if you follow DevOps methodology, you can basically develop the software and run certain things automatically without human intervention. It does that, you have to set it up. What is the prerequisite to prepare the rice in electric cooker? Obviously, you need a human. You have to wash the rice, you have to add the water, you put it, you switch on, that's it. So even in DevOps, there is human intervention needed to some extent, not to the end-to-end. So probably we'll do 50% of the job, 50% of the job would be automatically done. We'll be using a lot of tools, right? So to automate things that will be looking in real time anyways on daily basis, right? But it's all about the coordination. So what DevOps do? DevOps can automate and speed software delivery, and it will make the product reliable for the customer to consume it. So let's move on to the course content base. So I have the course content page. So the course will last for 40 to 45 days, guys. The course will last for 40 to 45 days, right? So we are gonna start from August 1st itself, from Monday, from 10:30 a.m. IST. From 10:30 a.m. IST, we would be having classes starting, right? So what we are gonna cover in the course content, obviously we are learning DevOps with AWS, right? So what we cover first, we'll cover the cloud computing basics piece. Why? Because everybody might be pretty much new, right? So we'll cover from the start, we'll cover the cloud computing basics, then we'll cover some Amazon Web Services, the cloud service provider basics as well. Then we will be creating an account, AWS account will be creating it, and we'll be going with certain Linux commands. We'll deploy a Linux instance or a machine, and we will be learning Linux first. Why? Because Linux is a prerequisite for DevOps when we are learning on AWS, right? So we'll learn about Linux from scratch, right? We'll learn basic commands and what is VI editor, what are root user, normal user, things and stuff, how you can do package management, things and stuff will be getting into it, and we'll understand what kind of files that we have, how you can grant permissions to different users, right? Then we'll be getting into the very first tool of DevOps, Git. This is a version controlling tool. So we'll understand what is Git, how we can install, how we can do certain things using Git. We'll be looking into it. Then we'll talk about GitHub. Parallelly, we'll talk about GitHub as well, right? Then we will talk about branching, merging, rebase. There are a lot of commands that we have where we'll be going and learning about it, right? So we'll talk about pull request, push request, right? A lot of other things which will be going and looking into it. Then we'll talk about Jenkins, which is a continuation integration and continuous delivery tool, CI/CD tool. So without Jenkins, I can say DevOps is nothing. So Jenkins is the heart of DevOps. So this will be used by DevOps engineer guys. We are going to use this. So we'll be learning end to end as to how we can install Jenkins, what are the prerequisites, how we can run a job, how we can create a job, what kind of different jobs that we have, pipeline jobs, freestyle jobs, multi-branch jobs, a lot of things that we'll be discussing about it. Right? Again, these are the most happening technologies in the market. So you yourself can build career in Docker and Kubernetes, right? So that is the value that it has in the market, right? So we'll discuss about what is Docker, Kubernetes, architectures, a lot of stuff that we'll be discussing from both Docker and Kubernetes. Then we'll talk about configuration management tool called Ansible. So in order to deploy the software, obviously we need to have some server hardware configuration, right? So we'll be using Ansible as a tool, and we will be configuring the software that is actually needed, right? Where we will learn about YAML files, .yml. There's a configuration that we have to do it. So that's a human readable file where it is advanced version of HTML, I can say, right? So we'll be looking about what are YAML files, things and stuff. Then we'll talk about monitoring, guys. So obviously, once you deploy the product into the production, we have to monitor the product as to what is the server utilization that is happening, CPU, memory, things and stuff. We'll be looking into it in the monitoring. So from monitoring perspective, we will learn monitoring from Prometheus. We'll be learning monitoring from Grafana. We'll also be looking from probably your Nagios server. So we'll see monitoring from different perspectives, right? What exactly each and every thing would be doing, we'll be looking into it. Yes. Then we'll learn Terraform. So Terraform is from infrastructure as a code. So we'll be using some code to deploy infrastructure. So how we'll be looking into it, Terraform. So Terraform is also one of the most demanded in-demand tool that we have in the market, right? So if you're learning DevOps, Terraform is a must nowadays. Right? So this is what we are gonna look into from the course content is. So as I said, we'll be aim IS. Now I'm open to any question and answer. Any questions you can now ask.
Hi, sir.
Linux will spend 3 classes. 3 hours. Why? Because you learn Linux throughout the journey of the course. Throughout the journey, the basics would be covered in 2 to 3 classes. The basics would be covered in 2 to 3 classes. No, the thing is, I mean, we will teach some AWS concepts as well. Okay, some AWS administration related concepts will teach. Why? Because without infrastructure, there is no DevOps existence, if I have to say. If you are learning DevOps with AWS, you should know the AWS services as well, like EC2 instance, storage buckets, like IAM roles, virtual private cloud, your cloud formation, your cloud watch, cloud monitor, a lot of other services which we have to know about. No, it has there in the first page itself. So I have passed.
So one more doubt. I'm Agnes here.
Yeah.
Hello. Is it audible, sir?
Where is the
Hello.
voice coming?
Yeah. I want to know which all the self-scripting
It's
you will
audible.
be
You can go
using,
with
sir?
it.
Yeah. Which all the self-scripting you will be using, like Linux or PowerShell?
You're
Hello.
talking about AWS account, right?
Yeah. PowerShell or Linux we will be using self-scripting.
Sorry, I think the audio. Let me plug into my.
Start shell scripting
Yeah, can
language,
you
which
speak
all
now,
the tools
probably?
will. Yeah. I'm audible for you.
Hello.
Hello. Is it audible for you? Hello, sir. Sir, is this audible for you from my end?
Yes, it's audible. Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I want to clear from your end which all the self-scripting languages you will be using here in this DevOps tools. Hello, hello, sir.
Actually,
Hello.
Lakshmi is not able to hear you.
Uh, is it right now?
Yeah, actually, we are able to hear your voice. Maybe the tutor is not able to hear your voice.
Oh yeah. Can you connect it once again, please?
I didn't get you.
Can you connect it once again, please?
No, I don't know how to do that. I'm also like you.
Oh, you are an attendee. You are not in a institute person, from an institute person.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Sorry. I think it's. I know I have some queries, but I unable to hear from his side.
You call Lakshmi, who has messaged you to join this call, so that she can help you to make it.
Let's wait some time. We will wait with them.
No, your voice is some disturbance.
I'm audible now. Hello.
Yes, now it's loud.
Sure. Yeah, she was asking actually what is self script can be used in DevOps AWS, either Linux or something else.
Hello. I don't know.
Hello guys, I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah. So somebody is having a question. We can go ahead and pick it up.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Karthik, yeah, go ahead.
Sir, can we choose testing field in this AWS DevOps, sir?
Can we do?
Can we choose testing as a job, as a tester as a job in this particular domain, that is AWS DevOps?
Testers, I mean, you have testers as well, but testing might not be having a lot of scope.
Okay, sir.
So if you learn DevOps, probably DevOps engineering roles that you would be getting into it, but testing is a very minor role in DevOps, if I have to say.
Okay, sir.
So which
What are
role
our
is good to go?
So there are,
roles?
yes, one at a time.
Yeah, what are our roles are available in AWS DevOps?
So in AWS, you would be having the basic role as AWS admin, which is a cloud administrator. Then you would be having AWS architect. Then you would be having AWS DevOps engineering. Then you might be having AWS security, a lot of other roles as well.
Do the AWS admin needs coding, sir?
No, not required.
And
Sir,
how about the engineer, sir?
40 to 45 days.
sir, in DevOps, which roles is good to go?
DevOps is only one role. DevOps engineer is
like
one role. So if you're
but
from developer, probably you can get it. Pardon?
hello.
Yeah, your voice is chopping off.
Okay.
Hi, Kranti.
So let me take certain questions. Yeah.
Yeah, Satish here. And what is the exactly on the AWS
Yes,
DevOps
Satish.
and what is the main DevOps engineer? What is the difference on that? And when it comes to you're just now saying that DevOps is the engineering will do all the things on that. But comes to the deployment you are saying that deployment will take the sum of the people and the release management, whatever the thing functionality will be taken by team only. Na? How will be defined on once we have done the course? They will have we will go into the deployment or into the what are the release management, what the kind of role we will into that.
So this course will focus on DevOps engineer itself mostly, but what we will learn is we will even have to get into developer shoes at times, testers shoes at times, Scrum master shoes at times. You might have to behave yourself as an AWS administrator. Why? Because we need infrastructure, right? So we're learning the course in all. So we look at developer role, tester role, Scrum master, your cloud engineer role, cloud DevOps engineer. Probably we have to behave at times as a customer, a manager. So we'll be learning DevOps from all the perspectives. So I cannot just limit the course to DevOps engineer only. That is how we cannot run. Why? Because once you join a company, you should be knowing about it, right? As to okay, who is a manager, what they will do, who is a developer, what exactly they do, what is the limitation of a tester engineer over there, or a quality assurance team. So we'll be learning from all the perspectives, Satish.
We will be
So let
there
me
in
take
the
certain questions from.
you will be there in the all the activities will include the testing and the release management and whatever the things and the development.
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. Yeah. So let me take certain questions from the chat window. So Satyanarayana is asking what you suggest being a system administrator, learning DevOps is important, and how does Linux plays a role, right? So if you are a system admin from Windows perspective, guys, so even you can deploy your infrastructure on Windows, but mostly we'll go with Linux. Why? Because Linux is an open source system where we should not have to pay for the licenses. But being a system administrator, getting into DevOps is an added advantage to learn from a Windows perspective or Windows server or from Linux server perspective. So Karthik is having a question. So do we have classes on Saturday and Sundays too? So generally we'll be going with Monday to Friday, but at times we might take on Saturdays as well. It all depends on your availability and my availability, right? So but Saturday we have a lot of time, so we can even do certain workshops. We can go with at least instead of 1 hour on daily basis, probably on Saturday we can go ahead and do 2 hours and 2.5 hours as well, right? So where we can discuss certain projects, even I can give some homework to you to do so that you can do some assignments as well, right? So mostly Friday I would be giving assignments to you so that you can spend on weekend and you can do it and come back with any questions.
Are the classes available in different timings? Because it may like uh, my work hours are from 9 to 6, or 9:30 to 6:30. So, are there any recorded sessions
Yes,
available
recorded
after that?
videos would be given. Yes, if you are going and opting for online, yes, we would be definitely sharing you the recordings.
Okay. Like if I will be mostly not available for the classes if I like if the classes are from 10:30 to 12. Are there any other windows or like any other sessions at different timings so I can attend live classes?
So we have currently morning 6 to 7 and 7 to 8 batches going on. Probably it might need 10 to 15 more classes to wind up the current batch. Suppose that we would be starting a new batch, but it's not a problem if you go ahead and enroll for a batch and you can join other batches as well. That's not a problem.
Okay. Like this batch is from like this batch may go for 45 days. So next batch will
Yes.
be starting in couple of days. So like can I contact the person so I can get non-working hours session timings?
Sure. So as I
Like,
said, we have 2 more batches in the morning, starting from 6 a.m. IST and 7 a.m. So we need
yeah,
10 to 15 more days to complete the current batches, and we
to
are
complete.
gonna get started
Okay.
in new batches.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you for the information.
Welcome.
Sir, how about the
For
timings
fee
for Monday,
structure,
sir?
yeah, Monday we are gonna start from 10:30 a.m. IST. Guys.
From 10:30 a.m. to
11:30 we can extend it as well at times. Why? Because if you start the lab, probably it might extend for 15 to 20 minutes as well. If it is a theory, probably we can go with hard stop of 1 hour.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So there is a question, will you teach Route 53 as well? So Route 53 is actually a concept of Azure Administrator. Probably we will cover if we get time, guys.
Okay, sir. Sir, will you provide assignments, sir? Assignments.
Pardon?
Will you provide assignments, sir?
Yeah, AWS. Yes. Go ahead.
Assignments, sir. Assignments.
Yeah, assignments, as I said, at the end of the class, I will be sharing the documentation, as well as on weekly basis, probably we will give you 1 or 2 assignments for sure, so that you
Okay.
can go ahead and do your perspective from the concept that we might have gone with.
Okay, sir. And
Any questions from here, guys? Any
sir, what about
questions?
fee structure, sir?
Fee structure would be, our representative will be getting back to you.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Sir?
Any other questions from anybody?
Hello, sir.
Sir, hello. Hello.
Yeah, pardon?
Sir,
Go ahead.
these assignments are scenario basis or like or just for practice type of assignments?
Scenario basis. Why? Because we are gonna learn in real time. So we are not, we will basically go with the theory. Obviously, the theory has to be practical with a real time scenario from the customer.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir.
So should we set up laptops like dual OS if we are using Windows laptop before we start the course?
Not
Because
required. So we will be deploying everything in the cloud. So we need Linux machine, but you will be using AWS infrastructure to deploy a Linux machine. So there is no need of a Linux as a host operating system.
okay, thank you.
There's a question from here. Let me take it up. Yeah.
Hello, sir. So 1.5 hour
Scripting.
session in between, how can discuss about the project, sir?
Pardon?
1.5 hour
1.5
section
hour?
in between, 1.5 hour section in
Mhm.
between, how can discuss about the project?
I mean, we don't just spend the time on projects. Theory would be converted into the real-time concepts. So I'll be bringing in a customer. So I'll be telling you that, okay, this is a requirement for the customer. So how we are going to implement it. So what are the teams that we might have to involve? So there are certain use cases that we'll be going with. Obviously, out of that, I'll be giving you guys a requirement so that you can go ahead and do that and implement from your end.
Yeah. Project will start live project after
Well,
the session, in between the session.
we're not just for 1.5 hour, right? We are daily conducting it, right? Throughout the 45 days.
Yes. Project will start live project after the session, in between the session, project will start.
See, on daily basis, it's a project base. So I don't want to use a different word like we'll do projects. On daily basis, we'll do a project. So other people will mention something called, we'll do 1 project, 2 projects. But if you look at what is a project description, it's the same concept that they will bring in.
I hope simultaneously you finish both, right?
Yeah, that's what we are going to do it. Yeah, you're asking something about scripting.
As part
We
of
will be
course,
using Groovy
power
script.
other than self-scripting.
Your voice was chopping. Can you
Yes.
repeat it again?
Yes. As part of the course, are you covering any specific language other than scripting?
What exactly? I mean,
Okay.
what is the service that you're talking about?
Are you covering any specific language other than scripting?
No, we don't cover any languages. We are not going to learn programming languages, right? We are not all of us. We are DevOps engineers. So we learn about Groovy script, which is in Jenkins pipeline.
Yeah. You cover scripting, right? In this section?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Is this audible from my end? I'm Agnes here. I do have some doubts on the DevOps.
I mean, we have to talk about facts, right? So people will be having their academics done in 2017, 18, 19. They still not get any jobs. But if you have to talk the facts, people will go with an illegal way of putting a fake experience and searching for a job, right? So that we can go ahead and do it. Why? Because it's ultimately you have to prove your technical ability to get a job. So irrespective of the gap, you have to prove yourself for sure. Kavita, I believe that answered your question.
So, which all the self-scripting languages you will be using here?
Yes,
Hello,
we
sir.
will be
I'm
going
Agnes.
with some. Yes, we'll be going with it.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, actually, this is one of the nice sections. Thank you for providing that. So, can you please share the video for recording video for better understand?
Sure, we'll be sharing
Sir,
it
will
to
they?
the participants.
Sir,
Okay.
will
Thank
they
you.
be
Thank you.
providing a videos recording of the videos, sessions
Yes,
videos,
we will be providing, and it would be having lifetime access. We'll be
lifetime
giving
access?
you with the
Okay, sir.
detailed material on daily basis as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, which all the self-scripting languages we will be using, like Linux and PowerShell, Groovy?
Now we'll be mostly concentrating on Linux only. Why? Because Linux is the heart for DevOps, especially for AWS.
And so one more, for the continuous integrations, which all the apart from Ansible, which will be other things will be using like Chef, Puppet. You'll be using all the
We'll
tools,
be
sir?
going with Maven. We'll be going with the build tool called Maven.
Maven. Okay,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you. So,
Hello, sir.
what is
Can you?
the duration of the course period?
40 to 45 days.
40 to 45 days. So it will be totally online. If we want to meet up with you, then how will be the provision to meet you, sir?
So we are going to conduct
Whether
this
it will be in
both
online
offline and
only or
online. So it's both. It's both. So we have few folks who have come for the demo session here as well. So I have almost 10 people here. So we'll be conducting and doing simultaneously. So I have a lot of experience in conducting both classroom and online. Why? Because during this pandemic, we have to serve. I mean, you guys are customers like us, right? So we have to serve and we have to take up the requests both online and offline for sure. So if you want to adopt for offline classroom, you can come down. That's not a problem. The same timing, right?
no. If we have any doubts to clarify, if you want through an online facility, then which all will be using the link like Zoom meeting or any other thing is apart from Zoom meeting
So it's
requirements from
GoToMeeting
your end.
only we are gonna use it. GoToMeeting
Go
is
to
the
meet.
link that we are gonna use it. So I'll be spending the initial 10 minutes on every day for each and every class for 2 year Q&A only, question and answers. So I'll be doing a quick recap. I'll be asking a lot of questions by taking the names, and I will be clarifying any questions that you guys might be having.
Okay, sir. So one more thing I want to clarify. The lastly, will be sharing the daily
Yes, thank
basis
you.
recordings
Any
after
final questions
soon
before we
after the
call out
class.
for a day?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm winding from my side from the last query. After the session, there will be providing daily basis of recordings for all the students.
Yes, daily recordings would be available.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Hello. Yeah. You are
Yes,
going
I'm
to
able to
explain
hear
only
you.
AWS. You are going to explain only AWS.
AWS only.
So
This is
otherwise,
DevOps with AWS. It's only AWS.
AWS. So if you want to Azure, so you can you provide any only what is what and all you can provide it, right? Azure also.
Your voice was not clear. No, I won't be teaching Azure. I'll be teaching it separately, but this is especially for DevOps with AWS. Your voice was chopping off. Any last question that I wanted to take it up? Any last question before we call it for a day? Okay. Thank you all. I believe you guys have liked the session. So if in case you wanted to enroll, you can reach out to our coordinator. Thank you. Have a great day. Take care. Happy weekend, guys. Thank you.